Welcome to more Acrobat information for your thesis or dissertation at BGSU. We're going to talk about editing a document, embedding the fonts, and bookmarks in this video. And I'm using the same document I previously used in our Combining the Files video. To edit the document, you want to go to All Tools and select Edit PDF. You do not want to type multiple sentences, paragraphs, or chapters in Acrobat. This tool is only used to add, say, a missing page number or a heading for an appendix that you've added at the end of the document, or maybe you saw a spelling error and decided to edit it from here. Once I've clicked on the Edit PDF, I have a text tool, and when I click into the document, it knows that it's Times New Roman and a 12-point font. It has the ability to bold, italicize, and underline in the document. Again, if I saw I had an error in my title, I could click in there and fix the spelling. Again, we don't recommend multiple typing, especially because when you have various paragraphs in the document, words will start to get on top of other words in the next paragraph or the prior paragraph because it will adjust. Just little simple spelling errors. Maybe you have a heading that was supposed to be bold and you noticed that you forgot to bold it. You can come up here and hit the bold. If I come to the end of this document where I previously added an IRB letter, notice that I do need a page number here and for page 2 of this document. So I'll want to see what my last page number was. Come back to here and come up to my text. Notice that my cursor has changed from a pointer. It has a little letter A now. I click and drag, clicking with the left click of the mouse and drag, I've created a text box. And I'm going to type in 65. And I notice that this is on Times New Roman and almost a 14-point size font. So I'm going to highlight the text, change it to a 12-point size font, since the entire document is to be Times New Roman and a 12-point size font. I also need to add Appendix A and a title. So from here I'm going to say Appendix A, and I'm putting it in all capital letters because our first level headings are in all capital letters throughout this document, as they should be. And I want to make sure that this matches what I have in my table of contents as a heading. Notice again, if I move my mouse over the corners of this text box, I can click and drag and move this heading over. Now I know you see a lot of lines right now. If I go off of this edit tool, notice those lines go away. And go back to edit, because I don't like where this is positioned. You have the ability under the menu to go to View, Show Hide, Rulers and Grids, and select the rulers. Page numbers are supposed to be 3/4 of an inch from the top and 1 inch from the side. Margin, 8.5 inch page, so 7.5 inch. However, I know that some of you will be adding various documents here, and maybe you're worried about words on top of words, and we don't want that. So we do ask you to just get it as close as you possibly can to where it belongs. The same with the fact that this heading is supposed to be centered. So 4 1/4 inches is half of 8.5. do the best you can to center that heading. And the heading is supposed to start 1 inch down. So to bring these little ruler grids around, all I'm doing is clicking on the ruler with a left click and pulling, dragging down this line, this blue line. Again, when I PDF and save this document, these blue lines will not show anymore. If it truly bothers you that they're here, you can click on the line and take it back up to the ruler, and that will remove it also. Next, I want to show you how to embed the fonts in your document. We embed the fonts so that people using a cell phone, using a Mac, a PC, using a notebook or iPad or other devices do not get something called null characters. Null characters are when the device they're using doesn't have the font, and that's why we embed the font. So you will want to come up here to All Tools and use Print Production. This is the one tool that's really not called what it is. So we're talking about embedding the fonts, but we're using the Print Production tool. If it is not in your list here, go to View More to find it in the list. And you want to go to Pre-Flight. It might take a moment for this screen to load in pre-flight. Up here in the center, there's a little wrench. Please click on the wrench. And you want to find the documents. Drop that down. And you want to embed the fonts, even if the text is invisible. Now, why do we care about invisible text? It's possible that you started typing in Calibri or Cambria or Aptos, something that Word defaulted to, and then you realize that it is not Times New Roman, so you change it. Well, Acrobat knows that that font existed at one point. It understands and embeds the leading and the kerning, which is the spacing between the letters and the spacing between the lines. While you may not see that because you see Times New Roman, think of it as layers. You're looking at the most front forward layer. Behind it, it still knows about that spacing of the prior font. So please select Embed the Fonts even if the text is invisible. And in the bottom right-hand corner, click Fix. If you have not already saved your document at this point and it still says Binder 1, this would be a good time to use your last name, thesis or dissertation, and the date when you save the document. Could take a bit depending on the length of your document. Once that's completed, to check to see if it worked, you'd go up to the menu, Document Properties, and select the Fonts tab. Here you can see Embedded or Embedded Subset next to every font found in this document. You're probably wondering why there are so many fonts in this document. Well, remember that we have added appendices like an IRB letter, which probably was an Arial font. If you made a word art item, it probably defaulted to Calibri, if that's one of your figures. And Times New Roman, it has the bold, it has the italic, it has the postscript, the superscript. So those are all set to be embedded at this point. Once this is completed, you can click OK. And then we will work on the bookmarks. Now, when you use our template, or if you're using our LaTeX template also, some bookmarks are already there for you when you click on this little ribbon on the far right of the screen. However, it may not be what you want it to say as your bookmark. I titled this test title page, and that's certainly not what I want it to say. So I have two options. I can right-click to rename this bookmark, or I can just delete it and start a new bookmark. I'm going to call it title page. Test body of the document, again, was what I had named the document. You might have a different name here, but it's taking you to the copyright page. And we only bookmark our first level headings, so you need to delete this with the trash can. We want to bookmark first level headings. Abstract is a first level heading. So while we're in the bookmark tool, in the upper right corner, you will see a ribbon with a plus sign. And when you hover over it, it says Add New Bookmark. Please click that. And then go to the next one. Again, if you have used our template, abstract acknowledgments, table of contents, list of tables, list of figures, and introduction were all set to be first level accessible headings, so they will auto bookmark, but you'll probably have to do some other chapters and those appendices. Also, where you are on the page matters when you create a bookmark. You want to be at the top of the page. And if you're here and you set the bookmark, that's where it's going to land. So you're going to make sure you're at the top of the page when you make that bookmark. Ohio Link requires that all first level headings be bookmarked. So we ask you not to bookmark your other headings. If you do this and they're not set up correctly, we will have to take and send it back to you for correction. When I say not set up correctly, let's look at this particular table of contents. So I have an introduction, and I go here, and this is a first level, this is a first level. Say I chose to do the seconds. It would have to be a subheading under the first level, like that. And then this would need to be social control theory, a third level heading that is set up under the second level heading. And that's so much simpler to just do the first level headings, which is what are required. So we ask you to work on those. If you had had a list of tables, a list of figures, a list of equations, or another list, you would also bookmark that as a first level heading. Type it in, hit enter, it sets the bookmark for you. Scroll down, click the ribbon with the plus sign, and hit the enter. And that's how you add your bookmarks.